Now we have some sound. That is weirdest thing ever, because I have this fancy mic that I thought would provide me some sound, but it didn't do it. Now it does, at least according to my levels here. We should see it. There's a quick delay, so you'll see it in a moment. Okay, so seems that we have to start over a little bit, okay? Now, as you can see, I'm still traveling. Usually in this show, I'm joined by my head coach, Markus. He broke his leg last week, went to the hospital, had surgery, is now still recovering. So thank you very much for all of your wishes. If you haven't heard, he's doing okay, but he needs a few more days before he can join me on the show. As you can see, I'm still in Germany. Yes, this is a live backdrop. It is in the Airbnb. It's really, really cool. So in this show, we are going to talk to you about what's happening in the markets and how we are trading it. Today is Monday, April 17th, and the markets are super quiet. On Friday, they dropped, still had a winning week. This morning, not a whole lot going on, but we'll talk about what happens. I did take a trade on Friday, got filled, did take another trade this morning. Not filled yet, but I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. So we'll show you how we are trading these markets. So we're real traders trading live accounts, and we're showing you exactly what we are doing. So trust me, we know our stuff, and we're not afraid to tell you like it is. So if you're here looking for some honest insights into the fascinating world of trading, you are in the right place. Now, since we had this little snafu with the sound in the beginning, we can now flip over to the charts to see what's happening. So let's talk about Friday. All three major indices finished lower on Friday, but were able to eke out some gains. The S&P 500 actually with 0.8% winning week last week. The Dow last week leading the pack with 1.2%. The Nasdaq just barely, but 0.3% finished on a winning week. So what is happening right now? Well, if you take a look at the economic calendar, flip over here, and we see that this week there's not a whole lot on the economic calendar. Yes, we had the Empire State Manufacturing Index coming out this morning, better than expected, didn't really move the markets at all. We have some building permits, some housing starts, and as you can see, the main event is that we have quite a few Fed members speaking here this week. So we do have Fed member Bauman speaking tomorrow on Wednesday, Fed member Williams speaking, Waller speaking on Thursday in the afternoon, Bauman speaking again, FOMC member Cox speaking. So this will be the last week that they are allowed to speak because we have the Fed meeting coming up in a couple of weeks from now. So Wednesday in 2 weeks, the Fed will have its meeting where they are setting the next policy. Talking about the Fed, right now, traders are expecting the Fed to raise interest rates one more time. And you see, right now, it's almost a certainty, 89.4% probability of another 0.25% hike. And this is because traders believe that the economy is still strong and the Fed still has some work to do. Looking at the probabilities of what to expect for the remainder of the year, we also see right now that now traders are expecting that the Fed will keep rates high for a few meetings, so until July, and then starts dropping it. Although the probabilities here, they could keep rates high for the remainder of the year. But this is not in focus this week. In focus this week is earnings, and there you see it. The most anticipated earnings releases as published by Earnings Whispers here. This morning before the bell, we had Charles Schwab reporting earnings. Then tomorrow we have Bank of America, Johnson & Johnson, Goldman Sachs, Netflix after the close tomorrow, United. Then we have Morgan Stanley, Bancorp, so more banks reporting on Wednesday before the opening. After the close on Wednesday, Tesla, IBM, and then on Thursday, we have American Express, Rite Aid, AT&T. On Friday before the opening, we have Procter Gamble. As you can see, it's not yet high season for earnings, but we do have some bigger names reporting earnings this week. Well, last week we had a few reporting earnings, and we'll take a look at those at first. I'm switching back to a daily chart. So JPMorgan reported earnings last week, beat expectations, and therefore rallied actually 7.5% on Friday. Citigroup also beating expectations here, rallying on Friday 4.8%. Who else do we have? We had Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo not really joining on Friday. On Friday only down 0.05%, so basically unchanged. Today, up almost 2%, 1.9%. So far, it's looking good. And this morning, I saw an interesting statistics from Factsheet, where they say, okay, it seems that 90% that reported during the first week, which was last week, beat EPS estimates. That is the best since 2012, so in 11 years. So we are off to a good start. Today, we had Schwab reporting earnings, and Schwab right now up 2%, almost 1.8%. So looking good for Schwab. Now, another companies that are in the headlines today is Google. Google down today, 3.3%. We'll talk about this in just a moment because I do have a Google position. You know what, talking about positions, why don't we hop over and talk about my positions and how I'm trading the markets right now. So first of all, starting off with CTRA, Cotera Energy. Right now trading at 25.76. I do have a position at 26. I did sell the 26 calls that expired on Friday, and as you can see on Friday, we actually closed at 25.75. So therefore, this means that on Friday I did not get called away, and therefore I have another opportunity this morning to sell more calls against my CTRA position, which I am trying to do. And I went to the calculator and I see, okay, so this morning, if I could get 35 cents, this would give me another $1,900 in premium against my 26 position here because I have 5,400 shares. So this would be very nice. I have not yet been filled because if you take a look at a 5-minute chart of CTRA, Cotera Energy, we see that at first it was trading higher, has been pulling back a little bit, but now moving higher. So we'll see. I do believe that CTRA, Cotera Energy, needs to go up to 25.95 or 26 before I get filled there. I might lower it today to 30 cents or 25 cents because if you take a look at this, even if I would lower it to 25 cents in premium, which is $25 per options contract traded, I would sell 54 of these. I still would get $1,350, 69% annualized. So that's not bad at all. So I don't want to be too greedy here with my 35 cents, but since the markets opened this morning and we're super quiet, I just want to see what the markets are doing. So let's take a look at this here for a moment. And if you take a look at the 5-minute chart of the S&P, I mean, this here, what we see is ridiculous. We are right now between the high and the low of the day. So the low was around 1431 and the high 41.31 and the high 41.43. That is a 12-point range. And this is redonkulous. I mean, a 12-point range, at some point, the markets will start moving either to the upside or the downside. I highly, highly, highly doubt that we will see a 12-point range for the remainder of the day. So this is where I want to see, and if the markets are rallying, this should push up CTRA, Cotera Energy, and I should get my 30 cents or even 35 cents. So I'll definitely keep an eye on this one. So what about the Googles? The Googles. Another one of my positions. So this is where I have shares, got assigned at 108. I sold calls against my existing positions at 108, and then on Friday I saw, oh my gosh, Google was trading above 108, and I might have gotten called away, and I said, I'm not done with Google just yet, and here's why. So if you take a look at the chart of Google, we see that we basically have a couple of rectangles. We have one here, so this is where Google has been trading between, I want to say, 86 and 105-ish, and then we also see that here we see that Google was trading between I want to say 105 to 120. So right now, as you can see, we're peaking above this range, and this is where I thought once we break through 108 that we can go back into the range, and I am planning to ride Google up a little bit, not all the way to 120, but I want to see if I can ride it up to 112, 113. So this is why last week I rolled my 108 calls into the 109 calls this week. Now, here's what happened today. So this morning there was a report, can't remember whether it was in the Wall Street Journal or where else, that Samsung is considering switching back on their devices to Microsoft Bing versus Google. This is because they say, well, we do believe that Microsoft is a little bit further ahead with the whole ChatGPT AI thing. And I don't know right now if this is just a negotiation tactic of Samsung, but Google said that, or it is said, Google hasn't said it, but it seems that this means $3 billion in revenue. That's quite a big chunk of change, right? So therefore, Google today lower, I might be able to buy back my 109 calls. So if you were trading this and you got called away last week, you're probably happy this morning. I'm still happy with my position. I think Google will be just fine. I believe it is an overreaction, but right now Google is down 3.4%. Tried to recover earlier today, but with the market indecision not going anywhere, Google is not going anywhere. Now, one thing to note, we have 8 days until earnings. So this is coming up. And if you take a look at the earnings analysis here, for Google, we see that out of the last 12 quarters, 7 times they beat earnings, 5 times they missed it. But we see also that 8 out of 12 times they were trading higher on the 7th day after earnings are being released. On average, 7.2%. Excuse me, take a sip of coffee. So therefore, I'm fairly confident going into earnings season that Google will again beat EPS and move higher. Again, we never know what happens, but this is where we're looking at the probabilities. And looking at the probabilities and the rectangles that I've drawn here that I just deleted, I do believe that Google has a potential to move up to 112, 113. So this is what I am planning to do. PNC Financial Services, on Friday was actually moving higher. Excuse me. So on Friday, closing higher 0.3%, even though the overall markets were down. This morning, dropping a little bit because we had ex-dividend day tomorrow. What does it mean? It means that, let me take another sip of water. Coffee, there we go. It means that I'm getting $1.50 and the payment day is May 4th. Really have a tickle here. Anyhow, so that's going on, and since I do have 1,200 shares, that's another $1,800 that I will receive right there. So very happy with this. Today, of course, PNC dropped by the dividend amount, but it's recovering right now very quickly, only down 0.23%. Geez, which is 27 cents. So there we go. So a few trades that I've going on, definitely looking at selling calls against my CTRA position. Also, here looking at the scanner, there's not a whole lot going on, which is not surprising since the markets are officially right now diddling around, not doing anything. Again, I expect to break the market for the markets to break to the upside or the downside. This is very, very unusual. If we express this in percentage of what this range is that we are looking at, we're looking at a 0.25% range in the S&P 500. Nah, that won't last. I can promise you this one. So we'll see what happens for the remainder of the day. One other thing that I want to take a quick look at is the VIX. So the VIX, the volatility index, still at super low levels here, below 18 right here now at 1735, just showing that the fear is out of the markets right now. But also this, I don't expect to stay that low. So I believe that at some point we will see another spike. And then, of course, it is more fun selling options because the higher the VIX, the higher the premium that we get in options. Anyhow, so as you can see, lots of cool stuff going on in the markets, and with more companies reporting earnings, let's take another look at this. So before the open, Bank of America, Johnson & Johnson, and Goldman Sachs, we could see some movement definitely tomorrow after the close with Netflix. Depending on what Netflix reports, we might also see Disney moving because they're another streaming giant here. So we will see what's happening. So don't miss it. Make sure that you tune in. Again, if you like the show that I'm doing here at the moment solo because Mark is recovering, give me a like. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing to the show, and then we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.